It, it's
I was
just never going to
waiting.
work, is it?
I was waiting with anticipation to see how we were going to come in on this one. I was like, I wonder how it's going to go. How is it going to go?
You have to admit that's getting, I mean, it's almost funnier to watch the beginning of the show because it's like, what are they doing?
It's like, boom.
But they don't even make it, don't you remember, didn't we have a better transition before they changed the program? I'm pretty sure we did. I'm pretty sure it wasn't that horrible all the time.
I don't know. We'll have to work on it.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know me, I'm happy to take any suggestions you have. Oh my goodness. So, not funny. We had some bad weather last night.
Oh, really? Where?
Yeah. Did you not hear about that?
So
I didn't hear about it. I was sick last night. David's been fighting the flu. We weren't even sleeping in the same bed. But he came in and he said that we had some really severe weather. And then up by Fairview, 2 people were killed in a car.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, really sad. A mom and a daughter. A tornado. He said the tornado came through and it wasn't very large, but it stayed on the ground for like 70 miles or something.
Wow.
And these 2 people were killed in a car. And I just thought, God, that's awful. What an awful thing.
They were in their car?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one thing you just have to do when we're coming into tornado season. And I would hope that people in Oklahoma know you cannot be in a car. You just can't. I mean, those things pick them up and toss them around like nothing, like balls, rubber balls. So it just, and it may have been too that they didn't even know what was coming. It might have been nighttime and they just didn't even know what was coming. And so that's another one too, man. If there's severe weather in an area, don't go driving around. I mean, if you can help it, don't be out.
Yeah. And unfortunately I'm waiting for the cycle back up. We've had pretty mild tornado season last several years here.
Yeah.
So I'm just every year I'm just like, this is going to be the year where it's just
I'll never forget the April 3rd tornado. I think that was the one that I was working at the health department. We had to go down and help clear residences. And that was, you just don't know. I mean, when people talked about the fire, and trust me, I don't like fire season either. I mean, the wind starts blowing like this, and I get PTSD bad. But, with the fire, I mean, it just burns everything. I mean, normally, but man, with a tornado, it picks it up and throws it over here and twists this around. And I don't know. I think there's almost more damage from a tornado than there is from a fire.
Yeah. Pretty good shot.
Well, that didn't come out meaning, you know what I mean? I mean, it's harder to pick up, I think, from a tornado.
Yeah.
But it's just, and it's certainly scarier. So anyway, but one piece of good news this morning shocked me. So the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, two out of 3 commissioners voted to deny OG&E their rate increase for data centers.
Really? Is that good news?
That's totally good news. But the only problem is, OG&E, who, by the way, let's not forget, gets millions and millions and millions in taxpayer subsidies from taxpayers, along with the fact that we pay our bill.
Yeah.
And OG&E is now threatening to take them to that decision to the Supreme Court because they said that they didn't follow the law. Well, I thought the law was supposed to stick up for ratepayers. I thought that was the whole idea.
So was that an increase across the board, all ratepayers, or just like commercial or data center payers?
Yes, because remember, the behind the meter bill allows companies to charge for infrastructure. That was the horrible thing about that bill.
Yeah.
And so OG&E is saying you can't do that. You know, it says we can charge for infrastructure. You can't just now say we can't. So that's where they're going with this, and I was really surprised. And not only was I surprised, so it was Brian Bingman and Todd Hyatt that voted to quash it. And then Kim David voted for it and then said, you know, hey, I'm sticking by my guns. This is what the law said. And I'm like, well, we have Grant Green and I think Brad Bowles to thank for that. But then Brad Bowles is trying to run legislation now to not pass the prices on to the consumer. So I'm like, maybe we should have thought about that in the first place and not tried to fix it later.
Well, who else didn't Jim? Jim's got something to that effect. He was running also.
Yeah, but they've killed all his bills.
Oh, they did?
Oh yeah. Why would they not do that? So, and I'm with Jules. They'll figure out how to stick it to us anyway. Well, and this is important, and Dorn's right. Kim David did get $25,000 in next era campaign money, but Dorn, don't forget all of the OCC commissioners have gotten huge campaign donations from the energy industry. So, which I think if you're going to oversee the energy industry, you should be disallowed from taking any of their 100%. Money.
Talk about swinging door.
Exactly. But that's not what they do. So, and I looked it up because I knew Kim David was going to get a lot of money from the energy industry, and she did. So, I mean, not a shocker there. So, let's bring on our guest this morning. Yeah. So we've had our few minutes here. So I was contacted, I think it was last year, by a guy from a group called the Second Chance Movement. And something happened and we weren't able to have him on. And then the group or a person from the group contacted me several months ago, last year or sometime, and said, you know, hey, this is our group and, you know, you might be interested in it. And so we've been working to get them on the show since that point in time. And I'm really glad because Jasmine Steele is on with us and I'm going to bring her on right now. Good morning, Jasmine. How are you?
Hello. I'm great. How are you?
Good. So I want you to tell us a little bit about Jasmine Steele and about the Second Chance Movement.
Okay. So my background is actually, I'm a nurse. I kind of started the advocacy thing. It was really started out as kind of like, I don't want to say a hobby, but kind of. I had just noticed in my time doing bedside nursing that we were encountering a lot of patients, unfortunately, that seemed to come from a lot of underserved or under-equipped community. And so I noticed whenever I would raise these concerns at bedside to my bosses and the powers that be, it seemed to kind of fall on deaf ears. So I took it upon myself to start kind of going outside of the hospital sector, right? And kind of networking more with like the ACLU, Unite to Thrive, organizations like that who are big into advocacy, even outside of the hospital, right? As far as like advocating for really underserved communities. And that's when I started seeing, you know, hey, this spans across multiple areas. Not just hospital, but also our incarcerated brothers and sisters, education.
What are you're talking about? Let's go back. You're talking about specifically voter education. Is that what you're talking about? Was that your initial issue?
Yes. Yeah, well, it became more of an issue, right? So as I started getting more into the advocacy sector and whatnot, and seeing just how much of a need there is to help these communities that don't have adequate resources, be it to vote, be it to education or whatever it may be. And it was just asinine how how underserved people really are. And so I just wanted to be the change, or to inspire change, to get that turned around and give them a fair shake like the other communities. And that's kind of
And
what we've
by
been doing.
underserved, let's go, because there's
And
unfortunately
resources, Jenny. I'd like her to kind of hit on what resources are kind of missing that you've seen also. But go ahead, Jenny.
Well, no, that's a good question. Why don't you go with Michael's question first? What have you seen that are missing in these communities?
So part of it is the transportation, right? Transportation, getting to these places or the lack thereof. Representation for those communities. We've just seen that there are not a lot of in the political specter and whatnot. There's just not a lot of representation there, in a sense of like people who actually will go down there and actually meet up with these people and talk to these communities and stuff. They kind of seem to do more of a standoffish type of thing, is what we've noticed, unfortunately. And they'll go, yeah, we'll represent you. Well, but if you actually go down and talk to these individuals that are part of these communities and whatnot, who better can tell you specifically what they need? It's not just necessarily what we think they need, right? They can tell you. So one of the things we did notice, particularly in our incarcerated systems and whatnot, is when it comes to voting and stuff, obviously, those our brothers and sisters that are incarcerated are not eligible to vote right now, but their loved ones would come and see them and go, hey, how can I advocate? What can I do to help? And so they would tell them, hey, go vote, please go vote. And their loved ones just didn't know where to start. And we just noticed that a lot of times it was either they were undereducated on that topic, or they just had no idea whatsoever. Some of them aren't even registered to vote. So just trying to bring awareness to that and just really help them to get to the polls and whatnot. I believe it was like 60% didn't even vote in this last election, and that's huge.
60?
It's really huge. Yeah, it was like 60%.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me Man, there's such a lag. Let me pull up the screen. Let me share this screen so that people can see your website. Because I was really surprised when I went to your website. Your website is pretty good, Jasmine. I mean, there was a lot of stuff on your website that I thought was extremely helpful. And I do want to point out that you try really hard to be nonpartisan.
Right. Yes. We try to be very inclusive, right? Because voting touches everyone directly and indirectly. And so our website is more or less just to put the information out there, no matter what side of the fence you're on. And just to educate, really, really educate. I don't think a lot of people realize just how powerful your vote really is and the long-term effects it can have by not voting, because not voting is also a vote.
Not voting is also a vote. Very good. So I wanted to point out a couple of things on your website. And one of them was, and like I said, I went and looked at it when Kendrick contacted me, because it's so important for me anyway that voting is a very nonpartisan thing. I don't like it being partisan, and I'm a Republican, and I don't want it to be partisan for Republicans either. I just want people to figure out, I want people to vote, and I want them to know how to do it. You had a section on here that I actually did where you have some actual quizzes, and you can determine for yourself through these quizzes how it is that you wanted to what you felt like, what political party you felt like best met your needs as a person. And I thought, that is I haven't seen anything like that. And I thought it was really great.
Yes. And so that's the thing. We just want to be, just kind of non-biased and just really put the information out there. And then, yes, like you said, we've made it where you're able to go. We tell you about the different parties, and you can go and take a quiz, and it will give you further direction based on your answers as to what would be probably in your best interest for you for the decision that you've made.
Well, and also I wanted to point this out too. Bless your heart, you're getting a rainstorm because I'm getting it too. Yeah. We must be close. I wanted to point this out too, because as a Republican, I get really uncomfortable sometimes about the way that we're described, because we always end up sounding like meanies because we want smaller government. And I just wanted to point out what it said. Conservative Republican values are generally rooted in a belief in limited government, individual liberty, and free market economics. Economically, conservatives tend to advocate for lower taxes, reduced regulations, and fiscal responsibility. And I don't have to read the whole thing for you to get the gist it's very, very just the facts, ma'am. I mean, it's not, I was so impressed when I read your website, because I just thought, now this is what we really need. Because if you're not a Republican, that's fine. If you're a big government person, that's fine. But you don't need the hyperbolic, terms that, far right, far left, stuff like that. You don't need that kind of stuff to understand what the issues are and then decide to vote. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's accurate. And it's just put the information out there, don't necessarily put the bias out there. People don't need that. There's enough of that. It's just put the facts. That's it. Let them make the best decision for themselves.
So let me finish going through this so people can look your website up, because I really thought it was a nice website. And then you have a thing where it talks more about your mission and what you do and your objectives. And you have quite a few objectives here. It's not just voting. You really are trying to organic food initiatives, community engagement and advocacy, sustainable gardening practices. You're really there's quite a lot of stuff here that I think is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our thing also, yes, so we do voter advocacy and advocacy in general, but we just feel we just need to get back to the basics, right? Just the very basics, without all the extra fluff, without all the extra stuff in it and whatnot, and just love on one another, right? And just, like, we can agree to disagree, but it doesn't have to be over the top, right? We can coexist. And so our big thing, yes, we do voter education. We deal with youth and children as well. That's a big passion for us. So we frequently work with Big Brother, Big Sister. We work with ACLU, Unite to Thrive, just to name a few. We also are into the organic stuff because health, right? And being healthy and being your best self. But that actually starts within, right? And so just taking care of the communities, is just really at the basic level, and giving these communities the tools they need to be successful. And so our initiative also is to, we're going to go and go to these communities and help them start community gardens, right? To be able to feed and take care of themselves. So it's unfortunate, like we've seen recently, I think a lot of people have, where people weren't able to afford food very recently, within like the last 6 months or so, just because everything that was going on with SNAP and different things of that nature. And so just giving people, giving them the tools to where they can go to these communities, essentially, these community gardens, and eat healthy things, make those things available to them so that they can fully take care of themselves, right? On the education
is a big thing. When you can take care of yourself and you don't have to expect somebody else to do it for you, you win almost every time, right?
Yes. On the education sector, you know, it's connecting these underserved communities with to these different resources and whatnot for education, right? And also, just like I said, but it all ties back into voting, right? It all ties back into they're all connected, interconnected at some level. And so it's just like, if we can get people to the poll and whatnot, we really can drive change. There is a lot of power in your vote. It's very important. And your vote doesn't just impact you or the person next to you. It impacts the generations that are coming behind you as well. And so our job is just, we really believe our job is just to obviously make things better for not just ourselves, but the people around us, and to leave the earth better for the people coming behind us. You know, give them a hand up.
Well, I wanted you to talk just a minute about, you're having an event, your organization is having an event at a prison next month. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, because I've said I would go, and I'm excited about going. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that event. It was very interesting.
So I'm sorry, guys. I'm in the middle of a rainstorm here. But the event, so it is actually
not a tornado.
Yes. So it is definitely Oklahoma. Mother Nature is doing her thing right now. Yeah. But so the event is we're in partnership with the NAACP charter down there at James Crabtree. They are the only Oklahoma NAACP prison charter recognized by the national level in NAACP. And what it is a voters education seminar. And it is to educate the public about just that, the voter process, how to vote, how as far as like where to go to vote, how to get registered if you're not registered, and just how much change that your vote can impact regardless of what you decide to vote. And so it is March 20th at James Crabtree from 1 to 4 p.m. And we will have different representatives come in and speak and whatnot. Just kind of an all-inclusive thing as far as educating the public. Because what we were finding was when we go down there and we speak to our clients who reside there, their loved ones, like I said, you know, they just don't either know the process, they have no clue, or they are just undereducated about the voting process. And so we were just finding out they just don't vote. They just didn't vote. And so this workshop or event is to educate them, you know, and show them, hey, this is a big deal. And so this is one of the greatest ways you can help not just yourself, not just your loved one, but your communities, right? And impact the changes up there in the powers that be that regulate these different policies and whatnot.
Well, I do think we have a huge problem in this state personally, and that is we seem to forget that incarcerated people get out. And if we ignore incarcerated people, then they don't get out and get into society unless they have a very strong family. They just don't come back. I mean, recidivation is so high. It can be so high. And my personal view on this is that if you give a person the tools to take care of themselves and make them feel like they're part of the process, then they're much more likely to integrate back into society and become, you know, a good member of society, for lack of a better word. But I do think we tend to ignore incarcerated populations, and I don't think it's good for them, and I don't think it's good for us.
Right. That is accurate. And so that's where it's so important to be the change that needs to happen and to be the change that we want to see. Right. And so, yes, unfortunately, our recidivism here in Oklahoma is awful. And it's a lot of it is just the resources and tools are not there like they should be. And so our goal is to, if we can start with these incarcerated individuals, because we also understand that this is just a season in their life. It's not the totality of their life. And so eventually, once this season is done, if we start, giving them the tools and resources now while they're in this season, this unfortunate season of their life, then yes, the goal is for them to go back to their communities and be upstanding, respectful members of their community, and to go forth and share this knowledge that they've learned and acquired to impact these communities and empower those communities. And really be the change that they want to see. So my thing is, I always say, each one, reach one, each one, teach one, and just really that,
That's excellent. You learned that in nursing school. I know I got that when I was I was shadowing some doctors for a while when I thought I was going to be a physician's assistant. And, that's kind of what they say. But I think the thing of it is that that's really so important. I mean, that's a concept I think we should be using in our lives every day, because if we can't bring other people along and we can't teach people and we can't then have them do it on their own after we've taught them, then there really wasn't a point to even teach them in the first place.
Right. Very, very accurate. And so, yeah, it's just, our thing is just, just make the most of your time while you're here in a positive way, right? Be the positive change that you want to see and that we need to see. And it's been very, very eye-opening to where we go and we see to these underserved and underprivileged communities, just to see the happiness on their face, the relief on their face that somebody actually took the time to come down there and see about them and give them the tools that they probably would have not had. And so it's just being that bridge, that positive bridge for them to access those things. And yeah.
I think it's sad because I do the same thing. When we get into the bubble existence, where this is my life and this is what I do and I'm comfortable here. And we get into that bubble existence, and it just, what ends up happening is then this is a bubble and this is a bubble and this is a bubble and this, and they're not, we're not making one big bubble. We're just, in our own little bubbles. And I think what you're saying is so important for so many reasons. I mean, but I don't know about you, Jasmine, but I just feel like we've lost our sense of community altogether. I mean, I don't even know that people don't know their neighbors. I mean, even if you're in a nice neighborhood, I'm not even talking about if you're incarcerated. People don't know their neighbors. There's just no sense of community anymore.
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing is, we live in a very, very all about me society. Unfortunately, we've gotten to that point, and we live in what I like to call a microwave society, where not only is it about just me, it's I want everything now, however that is to benefit me. Yeah. And that's it's not been very beneficial, maybe personally to some people, but overall, no. And so we just have to get back to the basics. We really do. It's so important. And just choose a better way. You know, it's so critical and so important to really leave a lasting impact in a positive way. There's enough negativity in the world. We don't need to add to that.
Oh, for sure. So tell people what they can do to help you help others.
So, obviously the voting, obviously, the other thing that they can do, please, I cannot stress this enough, go to either email or write your state representatives, or physically, if you're able to, go down to the Capitol and knock on these doors and have a conversation with these representatives, because they represent you, you know, and that's who's actually going to be able to go to these different meetings at the state capitol in these sessions and actually advocate for you.
Well,
they're able to go behind. They're able to actually go and advocate for you and drive change and actually be the voice for the voiceless, essentially, or the people who feel like they don't have a voice.
Well, you made a really great point a second ago that I thought was, so many of us go to the Capitol because there's a bill that we want stopped, or there's a bill that we want to go, and that's kind of what we think about going to the Capitol. Being a citizen lobbyist, basically, is what I call that. But I think you tapped on something that I don't talk about much. And Michael, I don't think we even talk about this much, but it's true. They're your representatives. You don't have to have a bill number to go up there and talk to your representative about something that's happening in your community that you don't like, or something that is happening in your state that you don't like. You don't have to go up to the Capitol because there's a bill you don't like. You can go talk to your representatives and say, hey, I wish there was some way that we could help mental health. I mean, I've just been involved in that situation. Here's a problem with this that I see. Here's a problem that I see with this. There's no reason that we can't do that. You're right, Jasmine. They are our representatives. They represent us. And if we would go tell them what the problems are that we're seeing in our communities and in our state, or just something that we've been affected in, we should go to our representatives and talk to them about that. So I think that's you're exactly right about that. I've never thought about putting that together.
Yeah. I was just there, honestly. I was there Wednesday for the when they were having the incarcerated or the Children of Incarcerated Parents Day, Awareness Day. And so I went to that event, and after I went to that event, you better believe I went and knocked on doors and went and talked to some of these representatives. I was like, hey, can we talk about this? Can we talk about change? Can we talk about how to make things better for these different communities? And it was I was grateful. They were very receptive to where a lot of them wrote it down. I was able to make those connections and send emails as far as, hey, I'm just following up. I don't want you to forget about us. I'll be following up in 2 weeks with you. And just really, really stay on them so that you don't fall through the cracks, essentially. I mean, I know everyone's busy. I know that they're busy, but really, truthfully, they represent us. And so, like you said, if we are not necessarily happy with what we're seeing, or if there are things we want to see, that's our go-to. We need to go and tell them. We need to go and put our voice out there, and hold them accountable.
Absolutely. So can people donate to your organization?
Yes. So we have, they can donate. There is a donation spot on our website. And also we have a Cash App. It's just Second Chance Movement Organization. And also, but mainly is just not so much even the monetary thing. It's just really being the boots on the ground. Just really, really, I cannot stress that enough. I think that has a longer lasting impact. Monetary is great, but it only goes so far, right? So just really, really being out there and just driving that change.
Well, I know you have the event coming up at Crabtree, but do you have events that people can, I mean, do you have events that people can come and get into? Because I think part of the problem that people have, especially with incarcerated populations, is it's scary for them. They're not sure how they would get involved with that situation. There are a whole lot of barriers in thought to people, I think, accessing that kind of thing. Do you have ways that people can be the boots on the ground and do that kind of thing? Do you have events that pull people together, that kind of thing?
Yes. So a lot of ours is also, it is going to the Capitol. It's also networking, right? So we frequently work with the ACLU. We frequently work with Project Commutation, things like that. And just networking with these different organizations. A lot of our organizations or these organizations do similar things, but it's just hitting it on a united front.
Well, it's interesting because conservatives have trouble with the ACLU.
Yeah.
There's some things that the ACLU has done that, you know, we're kind of a little iffy on the ACLU. So but I know that there are a lot of conservatives who interact with incarcerated populations through religious means. For example, I know numbers of people who have Christian ministries inside, you know, incarcerated populations, but that's just one segment. And I'm not putting that down. I think that's wonderful. I'm so grateful for those people. But there are also other ways, I think, that, because I think, and I may be wrong, but I think conservatives so often have, you know, we're the worst about the bubble complex, you know, and I think we can be. And I think we've just got to have some ways to kind of broaden our boundaries, if you will. But, you know, like I said, sometimes the ACLU is not like the first thing that conservatives go to. So is there another kind of directive? I mean, can you think of some other way to kind of cross-pollinate there a little bit?
And so also you can volunteer, as far as like back to your thing about when you were saying about the incarcerated brothers and sisters. There are organizations like Kairos.
Oh yes, for sure. Good.
Yes,
excellent. Yes.
There are organizations, a lot of your local churches have prison ministries. You don't necessarily, I mean, and I understand it can be intimidating to go into these facilities because you don't know what you're going to expect. And then just the facility, right? It's like I'm going behind these fences, and that in itself is intimidating. But you can go through these different organizations. You can go through your local church. Crossings Community Church in particular has a pretty good ministry, prison ministry. They go routinely, weekly. They send representatives down to the different facilities. They go, they pray with the incarcerated brothers and sisters. I know that Fairview Baptist Church in Oklahoma City also has one. And there's other non-religious organizations as well. So it's not just religious stuff, but those are just kind of a few of the ways that you can go and just help on a volunteer basis. Maybe you're not necessarily religious, and that's fine as well. But there are organizations like Hooked on Justice and things that go in there, and they also do advocacy just like we do, you know, where you know, maybe it's making sure that our brothers and sisters have just even their basics. It is asinine to see how many incarcerated brothers and sisters either don't have very good family resources, which is unfortunately common. You know, they get incarcerated, unfortunately, and their family just leaves them there. They don't come check on them. They don't call them or visit them, you know, and that's hard. That's hard. But that also gets into the mental aspect. It's just a really big thing. But you know, it's these organizations, they go down and they're able to make sure that their loved ones have, or that these incarcerated individuals have just their basics: toilet paper, clothes, socks, shoes. Some of them, believe it or not, that's not always something that's provided by the incarcerated systems. It should be, but it's not. The unfortunate truth is, I think as a society, unfortunately, we treat animals, I think I can safely say, sometimes better than our incarcerated brothers and sisters, in the sense of, we make sure that at these shelters and stuff, that these animals have their basics. They're not going to go without food. They're going to figure that out. That's not always the case for our incarcerated brothers and sisters.
You make a sad but accurate point. So voting, however, is the main aspect for you. So there was a bill that just came out this session, and it's to give people who have been convicted of non-violent, non-felony crimes the ability to get their voting rights back. Have you been following that at all?
Yes, I have. I was actually down there whenever they back in, I want to say it was early February, during that session when they did that. I was actually there. I was excited about that. And so, yes, I've been following it, actually trying to get more support for it.
Where do you,
because again,
where is the lack of support? I mean, where do you feel like we need to go to get some support for that? Because I think part of it's education, educating people about who these people are. Yeah.
So, definitely, like I said, definitely hit up your representatives. I cannot stress that enough. Let them hear your voice. Let them know you're here, you're engaged. Going into these, reaching out to these underserved communities. So the bigger communities obviously have more resources, adequate resources. So just reaching beyond that, right? And going to these smart communities, because there are people there too. And, bringing them, maybe it's, hey, do you, carpooling, going and get some of them and bringing them, up there to where they can, make their voice heard. Also, the schools are a big thing, right? Particularly the high schools, as they're starting to come upon, being, graduation and being adults, young adults. Colleges are a great thing to do as well, and get support and whatnot, and bringing on these college students. The college students, believe it or not, we've worked with quite a few of them. They are very, very energetic and pumped to do it, for change and whatnot. And also word of mouth has far stretching effects. And I think that I think sometimes we underestimate that. And we just, go with, we have to be, social media. Yeah, social media is great. But what happens whenever people don't have adequate social media access? I know several people who, they don't have a Facebook, they don't have an Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, or whatever. They find out either through TV or through bulletins or word of mouth. Particularly when we talk about I'm going to call it our wise and wisdom population. So our elders, some of them do social media, quite a few of them do not. That's just not their thing. And so just kind of really, I just cannot stress enough, just getting out there.
Well, I want to pop this comment in. Heather Boss Oklahoma Prison Ministry, Fathers on the Move, Oklahoma Prison Ministry with 2% recidivism, right? That's amazing. We just opened our transition house looking to expand into Sisters on the Move, Oklahoma. Jasmine completed one session with us. We'd love to have you come finish and help us with Sisters on the Move. So I think that's phenomenal. I mean, that's great. But I do agree with you. We've got to get more people have to vote. I mean, it's pathetic, the people that don't vote. And they always have some dorky excuse like, well, it's not going to help if I vote anyway. What does it matter? My one vote, and it won't matter anyway. Well, yeah. How many elections, Michael, have we seen that have won by 1 or 2 or 5 votes? It does make a difference.
Well, every school board race, Jenny, every single school board race is literally just a handful of votes. And when you look at the amount of people that vote in those school board races, it's only like, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6, maybe 7% of the even registered voters even go vote in school board races.
Yep.
You're right. Shocking, kind of scary.
Well, Jasmine, it's been lovely to have you on this morning. I'm so glad we've had a chance to meet up. I look forward to seeing you next month at James Crabtree. I put the website up, so hopefully, and then I'll put it up under with our other little clips that I'm going to make. I just appreciate what you're doing. I think people need to take their civic responsibility seriously, and it doesn't matter who you are. It is your civic responsibility. And if you're going to not vote, but you're going to gripe, you can't.
That's facts. I mean, that's accurate. Just go out there and be the change that is needed to be, and the change that you want to see. Leave things better for not just you, and not just the person next to you, but the generations to come behind you, Yeah. So yeah, drive change and just go out there and be great.
Well, thank you, Jasmine. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show this morning and talk about this. It's super important, and thank you for all you're doing.
Yes, thank you. And thank you guys for having us. We really appreciate it.
We'll keep in touch, okay?
Yes, ma'am. We will see you at the event.
That sounds great. You have a blessed weekend.
You too. Take care.
Alrighty. Bye-bye. I wish her audio had been just a little better. It was so hard in the car. And then, the storm coming up, and that never helps because then it's just, loud. But I think what they're doing is, and if you go through the website and you look, there really is absolutely, I'm going to put it back up so people can see it. There's really nothing in there that you could consider to be partisan, because I looked. I mean, me.
I looked at too.
And I was looking, and there just wasn't anything. Well, I mean,
I kind of like the reiteration, and it's on their website kind of in multiple places about, you need to be a little responsible for yourself. You need to take some actions. You need to try to be a little more self-sufficient. You need to, she was talking about, needing some resources and some things like that. And, if you're that one person that can maybe relate or go into a community like that, and then, help them to help themselves. I mean, that's what I'm all about is, I mean, you know my story. Nobody helped me. I mean, in any way. I mean, I'm literal poster child of, a lot of that. I mean, I literally
you're a self-made man, Michael.
Well, I mean, I'm literally first generation American, so I know what the immigration side is. Yeah. And we grew up as poor as you could possibly grow up. I grew up in a alcohol and drug abused household. I had to work 2 and 3 jobs. I put myself through school. I played a sport in school and worked 2 and 3 jobs at the same time. I mean, but I always just said, all that stuff happened to me, but or I was in an environment with all that stuff, but it's up to me. I'm the one who makes my own life, and I made that decision, for myself. So I see that, I know that just with some personal work, I mean, you can literally do whatever it is you want to do.
Well, you can. But I think we've got this learned helplessness thing going, and I blame government for it a lot because government stepped in on so many things. Oh, well, we need you to be safe. We want you to be safe. We want you to be, and they step in and then all they do is screw everything up. And they're not really helping. They're disempowering people. And then the people who are disempowered don't get it.
Yeah, that's a perfect term. And, how when you really think about it, Jenny, how would let's take something as simple as education, our school system. How would education change if you had very large communities like that Jasmine is talking about that actually voted and has a pretty good voice, and is activated in that school system? I bet you things would change pretty greatly.
Well, and here's another point. Here's another follow-up to that. So if the government had not gotten involved in local education, do you think there would be parents just dropping their kids off at school and not really paying attention to what's going on? I don't think they could.
No, you couldn't. You still have to have that responsibility factor that, hey, this is my kid. I'm still involved in this process, but that's the whole thing. Like government's involved in all that infrastructure, government's involved in healthcare, government's involved in school, government's involved in everything. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's the problem. We've allowed them to be our dad, and to kind of take care of business for us. Yeah. And now we're at the place that we're at because in general, we've allowed that to happen.
Well, and it's always so but I think I liked what Gracie said, always two choices, be a victim or a victor.
Yeah.
And I do think, but I do think there is a problem, especially in the communities that Jasmine's talking about. They become disempowered. They become a lot of things, because the government, if you're incarcerated, the government takes over your care. You have no ability to care for yourself at that point. I mean, just zero. So, basic things, obviously, but not as a rule. And we've got to just do better about, I don't know. There are so many things that I'm learning about just recently, because it's like I told Jasmine, I do believe that this is true. We get in our little bubbles. Here's my bubble. Here's somebody else's bubble. We get in these little bubbles and we don't collide the bubbles to see if we can't, talk to one another. So it always just becomes this, well, I'm in this group and this group thinks, and I'm in this group and this group thinks. And it's just, they don't, or they don't think about it at all. And it's really, two things have really gotten into my perspective recently. One of them is mental health. And then the other is the incarcerated populations, because what you're ending up doing with what we're doing with mental health in the state it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. As a matter of fact, we've got to have Kathy on the show to talk about mental health and what's not happened under Governor Stitt and what our hopes were and that kind of thing, because mental health is increasingly a problem in this state. It's increasingly a problem in the United States, just because we are getting so much, medical marijuana is a big problem, because the THC in medical marijuana makes people, it has been shown. It's not, we're not even at it could be possibly, we're past that. I mean, it has actually been shown to cause psychosis in people. And
there's other things that could be in there also that.
Absolutely. They put fentanyl in it. Yeah. They put other drugs in it. That somebody was bringing up to me the other day, that there's, that they spray something on the plants for bugs, I think. And then it gets into the marijuana and can cause problems. So, I mean, there's just a lot of problems with that, with just mental health. And then we have this huge problem in that incarcerated people have always traditionally been out of sight, out of mind. So it's not my person in jail. It's not a person related to me that's in jail. So what do I care? But here's the problem. These people are going to get out, and they should get out.
Yeah. How
well are they going to get out? Don't you think that should be something that we should all think about? Because you're going to run into them at a gas station or at a Walmart or at a whatever. We may be in our own thought bubbles, but we're not in our own personal space bubbles, so
what do you think? What's the underlying issue there? Is it because it's just a pure for-profit business?
What?
The whole incarceration, the jail business?
No, I think
they don't want to spend resources to actually rehabilitate, or what do you think?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think I'll probably know more after I go to James Crabtree with Second Chance next month. They were kind enough, because they're asking candidates to go, and they were kind enough to ask me to go, and I would love to go. I would love to know some of the issues, but then this is just a voter advocacy thing where they're trying to teach families of incarcerated people that it's important to vote, because we've had quite a bit of we've had some legislation on crime and crime outcomes recently, and I don't really think they've helped. Let me throw in what Dana's saying here, because it's long. Dana, you complain about how long I write. This is a podcast, okay? The Freedom Caucus is starting a grassroots call once a month, I believe it is, where all these various groups, some people are fighting DHS, some people are fighting DOJ, some people are fighting the courts, where they can all come together. I love that, Dana, and work together as we go through each one of these issues one at a time. But we're all working together, I think, will help. Yes, I agree. Instead of being in the separate bubbles, as you mentioned, I completely agree. And of course, Julia says no one else should be able to vote themselves to get somebody else's money. Julia, what would we do without you to be the voice of sanity? But back to your question, Michael, that's a really good question, but I think it's one that has to be decided. I mean, we have to come to an understanding of that.
Well, I mean, you'd run into the conflict there. And I mean, the whole criminal justice system, fights that. I mean, there's people that are probably not supposed to be in jail that are in jail, or falsely, convicted or whatever. But, there's money behind all of that. Yeah. And at the end of the day, those prison systems, they don't care about these people in any capacity. They just want their paycheck. They don't want to actually help these people or rehabilitate them or give them, some type of avenue to be productive and contribute in society. Well, I mean, you could literally look at that entire thing as an apprentice system. You're going, you got in trouble. You're going to have to pay the price. Let's go in and we're going to Francis Tuttle this thing and figure out how you can actually survive and be a better person in the future. And while you're here, we're gonna give you the resources to train you. And maybe that's pie in the sky, whatever. But if you don't have something like that, you're never gonna. I mean, if you're just sitting in there being pissed off all day long, and there's no outlet outside of working out, trying to protect yourself and survive, there's just nothing that's going to change about that.
Julia's got another nugget. We've forgotten that following Christ means loving your neighbor as a society. Yeah. And that's factual right there. And it's like, but Heather Boss said, Heather, they've got a ministry that the Move, Fathers on the Move and Sisters on the Move. I mean, that's just a great, that sounds like a great thing. But I think more than anything, and this is sad, but I don't think people understand this. And I guess that's why I want to say it, because I'm all about educating. So I don't know. I do know we have, there is a family member, an outside family member that's in prison and has been in prison pretty much all of his life. And I've learned a lot from that situation in a lot of different ways. And I believe that what we do in the prison system, just based on the now this is a fallacy of small sample, but based on his case, what appears to me is that we tend to do the same thing with corrections that we do with education, that we do with pretty much everything, because face it, nobody has the time. Nobody wants to spend the money. We treat it as a blanket thing. Well, if you're this, then that's what happens to you. And if you do this, then that's what happens to you. But the problem is there are a lot of extenuating circumstances in there. And like you said, it's all about your attorney and who can really afford a good attorney. And if you're getting a state attorney, but then a state attorney is getting paid by so-and-so to do so-and-so. And then it's not a justice system. It's a patronage system. Yeah. So that's a problem number one. I mean, it's not supposed to be a patronage. That's why we started the United States, so that's, I think, one of the biggest problems, but I don't know how you solve that.
Well, I mean, it's highly complex social issue. But at the same time, maybe you solve it through, we fix the very root of the problem, the education system in the first place. Yeah. You teach these people how to competently read and write. They're, from kindergarten to 12th grade, you're always mastering that most basic thing. And they have an actual avenue, that they can put their mind towards, that they can do and achieve.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, true. But then the other problem, and I noticed this in the mental health system too. So many families wash their hands of these people.
Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind.
And so then if you don't even have a family that's advocating for you in the background, I mean, think on that. I mean, really, honestly, those of us who have families, think on that for a second. It would be hard for any of us with families to even conceive of that, but that's exactly what happens.
Well, and let's just roll back to something even probably more common than even that entire, the penal system in one way or another. Look at the guests we've had and the advocacy that's required just when someone's in the hospital or in some type of long-term care in some capacity in one way or another. I mean, look at the issues. If you don't have that advocate, you could literally die in that healthcare system.
That honestly, that's a really great point.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, and think about like in elder care, that's another kind of set it and forget it type of situation. If you're not always checking, they're not gonna go out of their way to make sure your mom or dad or family member or someone, is really being taken care of. I mean, tough.
Man, that's so true. And I don't know how you fix that other than you have to fix, one thing that I noticed. So growing up, in the 60s, which I pretty much did because I was born in 62. So, I mean, I did have quite a bit of growing up in the 60s. Families were different. I mean, and it didn't matter what nationality or race you were. Families were not different when I was growing up. I mean, we had Black families in our church. We had, you would go, I mean, it was just different. I mean, people were more interested in family. Family was a thing, it wasn't like you never even thought about that. It was family was the thing. Right. And, as I grew up, divorce, we had no fault divorce. Right. And that kind of changed a lot of things. We had the government open up and, here, we'll give you this money for this. We'll give you this money for this. That kept people from being almost even self-aware, but definitely, kept them dependent on the government and not dependent on themselves and learning how to care for themselves. And so I just honestly, I have to put it back on the government, that just the increased size of government, the ridiculous policies of government that we've allowed to happen. I just think government is our biggest problem.
Oh, by far.
And it just shouldn't be. I mean, it just shouldn't be. But it's so hard to get people to understand that. It's so hard to get people to understand that the government shouldn't be taking money out of my paycheck to make sure that I have a retirement. Because how am I going to make sure that I have a retirement when you've been raiding the Social Security pot?
Well, I mean, that's just that double-edged sword. Government should be there to help us when we have downtimes and empower us, to get back to self-sufficiency and be responsible for ourselves in one way or another. But it's hard, Jenny. If you're living on government assistance, you're getting government food, you're getting, government communications, government travel. I mean, why would you, if you can just go to the store when you want and use your benefits and, you got a cell phone, maybe you have internet, you got free TV or something. I mean, why would you change if you don't have to? If there's no kickoff program, if there's no, hey, we'll give you like 3 months here or, whatever. I mean, it's just a system that is pretty sophisticated that they figured out, hey, if we can get you on here, then we can keep you on here probably.
Julia, to the government, don't call me, I'll call you. Starts at home, then local, then state before big government can be contained. And that's, yeah. That's true. I mean, if you don't teach self-sufficiency at home, then your kids go out expecting something, Well, but then if you don't even have a family, an intact family, though, I mean, that's so much of the problem, I think.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of, at the end of the day, I think, I just try to hammer my kids. I mean, yeah, I'm a pretty good dad. I'm a good provider. We have the basic cookie cutter, household, family unit, which that's what I want for my family. Cause I didn't have that. So that's what I want to provide. But at the same time, am I making my kids' lives too easy? Am I giving them too much? I can tell you, they don't have to do anything compared to what I had to do at their same age. I can tell you that. So, and I am, am I an enabler down the line, just like the government is an enabler? And then I'm creating, maybe I'm creating people that are not going to be as independent as what I think or want them to be. I mean, the whole thing's just it's a vicious cycle.
I never get it right, but there's strong men make good times make weak men or something. I mean, there's a whole, there's
make hard times.
Yeah.
And hard times make strong men.
Yeah. And it's true. And I think what ends up happening is this. So my mom was Depression era kid, right? Well, both of my parents were Depression era kids. And my dad tells stories of, on the weekends when, you'd be out playing if you were a kid, you had your little red Ryder wagon and you were going up and down the street getting newspapers or rubber, right? For tire drives or for newspaper drives or whatever. And you had to fill up your little, one of these days I'll bring it on the show so people can see it. But my grandmother saved a ration book. And so I have that in the safe. It's a ration book, and you would go get your ration coupons. And if you didn't have, the coupon for that day, then you didn't get your food, or you didn't get this or that and the other thing. We have no concept of that. I mean, we literally, even the poorest of us in society now doesn't have that concept. I mean,
well, and even like, like I've shown the picture of my grandma when she was in Germany, when they were made to salute Hitler while they were, driving through town. I think back to all the stories my grandma would tell me about, she's in basically a detainment camp. She's sneaking out, at night to try to go get food, and she takes an apple core that a soldier threw down on the ground, and they see her and they literally put her in the square of the camp, and they act like they're going to shoot her. They put her up like a firing line, and they use her as an excuse. She's only like 7 years old, 8 years old, whatever it was. They said, anyone does anything like that, that those apple cores are not for you. The trash is not for you. I don't have any kind of experience like that. I don't want my kids to have any kind of experience like that. What the people that made this country, the experience that the hardships they had to go through to make this country what it is. We just take it for granted so much. It's unbelievable.
Well, and I do tend to agree with what Janice says. We're just too weak, and we'll collapse if we don't have really major reform and shrinkage of government. It's just, it's true. I mean, we are just so
Well, I didn't want to get into all that with Trump and everything else, but at the end of the day, I voted for revolutionary change. Not the government to kind of keep going how it is. I wanted heads chopped across the board, massive shrinkage, disappearance of, agencies. That's what I voted for.
Yeah.
And Jen is right. Without some major reform in some capacity, the way the government works now, I mean, it's not going, it's only going to get worse, catastrophically worse. And who's gonna be the recipient of all that? Us. That's who's gonna be the recipient of this bad government, which is
mainly our kids. I mean, mainly our kids. I mean, our kids are already seeing it. It's so much harder to get anywhere today than it was when we were, when we were young.
Oh yeah.
It was not that hard. I mean, Dave and I bought our first house. I mean, we were older because he was in the military, right? And I was previously married before we, went back to school. So he went to school after he was finished in the military, and I went to school after I was divorced. So we were older people in school, but we ended up getting our first house at, oh gosh, when was it? 32. I think we bought our first house, and it was a $42,000 home. I mean, we had to do a lot of work to it. I mean, it was quite in a rundown, but we were young, and we had the tools, and we had the talent, and we got that done. But I mean, where do you find, I mean, you don't have enough kids that know how to do stuff for themselves. Like, if Dave didn't know, he'd figure it out, know. How many people actually do that? Are we raising kids that could do that? And where are you going to find a $42,000 house that is in a decent neighborhood that needs to be fixed up? I mean, and so it's just, I don't know. And you look at the stuff that my youngest daughter, who's getting married in October, she and her husband are looking at houses, and she sends me these pictures, and I'm like, but honey, that's made out of cardboard and packing tape. I mean, they're just awful. And then they charge these exorbitant amounts for them, and they're not even built well. I don't know. It's a quandary. All we can do, because people say this frequently, well, I'm not even going to vote because what does it matter? I mean, we talked about that with Jasmine, right? I mean, they say that kind of thing. And I think even us, even we feel it every once in a while. We're like, well, why should I even vote? This is just, I mean, they're going to do whatever they want. But I think what happens is that cynicism, as it goes down the chain and less people vote, the more of an oligarchy this becomes, and the less easy it is to get it back under control. So the one thing you don't want to stop doing is voting.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, and it's like we've said before, you get enough of us in there, things will change. And that's why, I've seen a whole lot of people that are, Republican or this or that, they're all mad at Trump and they're just going to vote Democrat or, that's not how it works.
No.
How it works is now we go in overdrive to get these rhinos out, to get these bad Republicans out. It's our party to take over. Yeah. And that's what we've got to do and convince people of is we need to go on double time now to make sure that the next person that gets in there does what we say, not the other way around.
Well, and it was interesting. So I posted something on my Facebook page yesterday about Markwayne Mullin and that he typically gets into his MMA posture and that he has problems with insider trading. And I think a lot of the reason he got into this DHS spot is just because he's an absolute Trump at all costs kind of a guy. And that's what Trump likes, is that.
Yeah.
And so it was, it's not a very nice commentary on Markwayne Mullin. I'm really not a fan. And there was a lot of consternation on my page about, and a lot of comments, like there were some comments, well, he's just a great family man. You know what? I think that's phenomenal. I would never want to look down on that. That's great. We need great family men. But what about his voting record? Did he not say that he was going to go do one term and go home? I mean, so if you can't even trust him to be at his word the first time, and maybe if he didn't mean it, he shouldn't have said it in the first place. I don't know. But it's kind of the James Lankford fallacy. Well, James Lankford is such a nice man. I'm sure the man's a nice man. I've never once said he was Satan. He's a nice man. But he's not a conservative. He doesn't vote well. His votes are terrible if you're a conservative. It's the same way with Markwayne Mullin. Why is it that we just go, oh, but they're nice people, scratching they're nice people. We can't vote for nice people. We have to vote for people who are going to do the right thing. And if you're a conservative, that means shrinking government.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Well, Jenny, I'm a nice guy. I'm pretty handy. There's not much I can't fix.
This is all true.
You need heart surgery. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. You need heart surgery. I mean, that should be enough qualification.
Yeah, you're not.
Even though I don't have a track record of heart surgery, I can probably figure it out off of YouTube. I mean, that's like the mentality in this deal.
Well, and this is another one. That's one of the problems, just voting for someone according to party name, not because of who they are. No one is really willing to research candidates. I mean, sadly, though, even though there are a lot of Democrats that I have, a lot of crossover with, my friend Christy Taylor, who's a Democrat that I haven't had a chance to get her back on a podcast to do a podcast because everything just went wacko before, the beginning of the year. But I mean, I posted the thing on data centers on my page, and the first comment was, I was really surprised about that. I was so happy. We do definitely have so many Democrats I know cannot stand the amount of corruption that we have in government and just conflict of interest that we see over and over and over and over again. These people don't like that. We need to get together with them where we can. But unfortunately, I'm not for killing babies, so I can't be a Democrat there. They actually voted what was it at the Democratic convention? They voted against God or something. I don't remember what it was, but I mean, and I don't want a big government, so I can't be. And that's the party of Joe Biden and Obama. And Obama fundamentally changed the government. He's the one that's responsible for the huge big government we have right now. He is, well, and of course the Bushes, but you know, he was the one that made the gigantic leap. I mean, the Bushes had just been taking little bites. You know, Obama just went,
well, but they did
wacko.
George Bush did pretty much create the security state.
Oh yeah.
Of how it is now. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The Patriot Act was the worst thing ever put into law in America. I mean, hands down, and George Bush was all behind that. But again, you know, we had the Twin Towers. And so every emergency, every bad thing that happens results in a bill that somehow they believe is going to, or they communicate to us that's going to stop that from happening. And we all know that that's not going to stop anything from happening.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like they can take our guns away from us and people are still, all the bad guys are still going to have guns.
Yeah.
I mean, all you have to do is look at England.
Look at Mexico.
I mean, none of these stupid plans work, but they just keep doubling down and doing them.
Go back to Obama's first term with Rahm Emanuel. What did Rahm Emanuel say? Don't ever let a crisis go to waste. You know, if the government can help facilitate that crisis to get an endpoint of a new piece of legislation passed, because everybody's so whipped up in one way or another, they're going to do it.
No, you're 100% right about that. And we did see that over and over again in the Obama administration. And, you know, now we have healthcare that doesn't help anybody with their health, you know, because.
Yeah, that expansion of healthcare with Obama was literally probably the worst thing that ever happened to healthcare.
And what did we do in 2010? We tried to elect a bunch of people who swore to God that they were going to go in there and stop it. Name one person that did it. Is it done? No.
Yeah.
No. These people say things and they get there and just go, well, but I can't do it now.
Do you think is there so much pressure on them? They just cave to peer pressure. Do you think they're being, blackmailed in some capacity? There's dirt on them that's bad. I mean, they just want to get along to go along. They don't want the controversy because, like Gracie says, we need more conservative bulldogs. I mean, I don't care what party you're from. I don't care if you're the biggest a-hole in the world. If you're going in there to tear the government down, I'm for it. Yeah. I'm for you. I'll back you.
Yeah. Well, I tend to think, hold on, I got to call. I tend to think it's kind of a D, all of the above, in answer to your question, because I think there are people who go in there that have things in their past that make them very easy to be manipulated. So I think that's one. I think people don't really understand, and I'll be honest, I didn't understand it until I became mayor. And we had some really hard votes. I mean, really hard votes. We had to vote to get rid of the police chief. We had to vote to raise the water rates, and people come in and they stare at you while you're making those votes. And they've usually got some kind of a bad, it is not easy. I think the human condition makes it so that we all, in a way, we just want to be liked. I mean, nobody wants to be, we hate her. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to be on the end of that.
Yeah.
So you want to be liked. And when you're in the position where you're sitting at the table and you have to make that vote while somebody's going, raising my water rates, it is hard. I mean, it's hard. It is really hard. And you just have to back up and go, sorry, there's no other way to do it. Can't help you here. I would love to try, but I can't. This has to be done.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And there are not a lot of people that either have that much spine or care that little about what people think about them to do the right thing. So I tend to think that you're right about all of it. It's just a little, I mean, if they've got something on you, they're going to use it to get their way. You probably thought, oh, I'm going to go in there and just, right? And you sit there in that well, with a bunch of people around the outside, you know, at the top, and you're sitting there in this well, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I vote for this, so and so isn't going to like me, and then you cave. You know,
as well as an example, look at how the swamp bureaucracy of Oklahoma literally shut down Jim Shaw last year.
Yeah. Well, and this year
rules,
too,
all the BS, just all the stuff, you know, that highly, I don't even want to say it's sophisticated, but it's just so
it
organized.
is sophisticated.
It's organized to control you. I mean,
Right.
it's literally organized to control people like that. But we've got it, you know, if we can get more in there, it's going to be a little harder to, you know, combat that.
John Boy says they have nothing hanging off the lower end of their backbones. That would be a tail, though. I think I know where you're getting, but you know, and I do think this is another one. I think, well, Harvey Sparks told us the pressure is unbelievable, and the way they treat them, they're like gods, and they start believing that we, the little people, aren't as smart as them.
100%.
And I remember that. So Harvey Sparks ran for Senate, and he was in James Lankford's office or Coburn's office. Tell me, Julie, I've forgotten. He's now out of government, which is a shame. I mean, they do a lot of nonprofit work. I mean, it's a great family. He's a great guy, and their family is phenomenal. Bridenstine. That's right. Thank you, Julia.
I gotta head out. I gotta hop off.
Okay. Well, you have a great weekend.
Okay. Sorry.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Bye, Michael. This is what happens when people have jobs. It was Bridenstine. That's right. And Harvey Sparks. And he ran for Senate I think after Bridenstine, right? And then what ended up happening was he actually said, you know, it's just such a pressure cooker there. And they just, there's not a lot of people that can stand up to what the oligarchy, if you will, you know, wants them to do. It's so, I don't know. It's bad. I mean, and John Boy's right. We've got to have some people that have backbone. And you don't have to be a jerk to do that, but you do have to stand up. And that's really what we're missing, I think, in large part right now, is we've got to have the ability to stand up, and we've got to vote for people who are going to stand up for our conservative values and for us. And that's just, and that's true. Shaw doesn't give up easily. And that's another thing. We need people with tenacity. I mean, they may knock you down, but you just got to keep getting back up, you know. Harvey ran for CD5. That's right. And went to work for Steve Russell, who won that year. That's right. I remember that now. Yeah. At any rate, so there's not much more, I don't think, to discuss this morning, unless somebody else has something and you want to throw it in the after Bridenstine. If you want to throw it up in the comments, then we can do that before we get off of here. But otherwise, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything coming up. We do need to start watching floor votes now. Don't forget, bills have gone through committees and now they're getting ready to go onto the floor. I don't like the fact that you now have to email every representative about a bill. But certainly you need to email your own representative about bills that you do want to see passed or you don't want to see passed. So don't forget, we've got to stay engaged, but also don't forget, the date isn't coming to me, but the bills are going to switch next month and go. And once they switch, right? So the Senate bills go to the House and the House bills go to the Senate. Once that happens, you can start over and really kind of drill down on them and get them stopped in the opposite committee. So don't forget, we still have plenty of work to do before May, and the people on 23rd and Lincoln leave for the summer. So hang in there. Follow on social media, follow, Save Oklahoma Farms and Ranches, follow so many other, Oklahoma Doge, follow all these places that are putting out information. I wish I had more time to put out information. I'm actually starting to walk this morning. So, thank you, Heather. That is let me see if I can I think I've got a picture in here that I can put up. So give me a second and let me see if I can. I sure can. Look at this. Maybe. There it is. Okay, there it is. Thank you, Heather. I really appreciate you. So don't forget tomorrow, Protect Our Land, No Green Scam. We've got this rally at the state capitol tomorrow from 1 to 3. Rope is going to be there. I will be there tomorrow with bells on. Things are getting a little bit better, but we're still not there. So be at the Capitol tomorrow, 1 to 3, to be able to rally against the green scams. We absolutely have got to stop tax incentives, period. No more tax incentives. That has to be our rallying cry, and certainly not for green energy, not for something that's so obviously not green. So please, no, Heather, you're the best. Thank you for reminding me of that, because that was excellent. Good call, my friend. So don't forget to be there tomorrow, 1 to 3 at the state capitol. I will be there. You better be there so that I can see you and we can rally against green energy. And otherwise, I think we're done for today. And let me tell you who's going to be on next week. Totally forgot about that. Forgot about this. The state question state question 836 failed to get on the ballot. They did not get enough people that were actual voters in the state of Oklahoma. And it's sad, but I was approached in Walmart parking lot by one of them, and they never said to me, well, you have to be a registered voter. They just said, do you not want to do this? And then had you sign. And I was like, guy, you can't do that. That signature is not going to be valid if you don't make sure that they're an actual voter. But the dude was getting paid. You know what I'm saying? So when they complain about, oh my gosh, we didn't get enough signatures, you didn't even do it right. So I'm not going into the Walmart parking lot. I'm not sure is going to bring you as many voters as you would like. So we might think on that. Anyway, so that did go down. But Adam Hawley's going to be on. He had a lawsuit against that. He's going to talk to us about that. And then we're going to have a special tomorrow afternoon at 1. We're going to talk to Jake Merrick about his running across Oklahoma. He's got way more energy than me, and he's going to be on the road. And so we're going to have a quick update from him, because I just think what he's doing is fun. It's great. Who doesn't want to meet people all over Oklahoma in these towns? And then on Friday, we're going to have Lisa Janlu. She's running for labor commissioner, but she's also going to talk to us a little bit about what's going on in Iran. That has been a real sticking point for people, a lot of us, particularly me, since, I was one of the ones that was big Trump supporter because I didn't want to go into any more wars. So I think maybe hearing from Lisa Janlu will really help there. And Heather says she will be there, make signs. So bring your own signs. And otherwise, I think we've covered everything now. So I will be out walking this weekend. So pray for good weather, and we will see you again on Wednesday. Have a blessed weekend.